Good day, everyone. I am Carla Anastasio, and today we'll explore the principles of clear and effective writing for radio. This topic is under the Module 12, Writing for Radio. According to Lustria, Tabing, and Osalia, there are six principles of clear and effective writing for radio. Here are as follows. Principle 1, write for the ear as well as for the eye. Principle 2, be informal. Principle 3, aim for clarity. Principle 4, put action into your sentences. Principle 5, use descriptive words. And lastly, Principle 6, tie in with the audience's experiences. For now, we will focus on the Principle 1, which is right for the ear as well as for the eye. When writing for radio, it's important to consider not only how your script sounds, but also how it appears on paper. We must keep in mind that others involved in the production may need to read your script. That is why you need to ensure that your script is easy to say, easy to read with your eyes, and easy to listen to. The following are some suggestions on how you may do that. First, use simple words and shorter words because they are easier to understand. For example, avoid using the word subsequently. Instead, use the word afterward. Instead of using the word facilitate, why not try the word help? Next, avoid numbers or statistics. They are difficult to remember when only heard over the radio, but when it is necessary to give figures, simplify them. The idea is to round up or down to the nearest simple figure while maintaining the essence of the information. For example, 2,476 employees can be simplified to almost 2,500 employees. 33.7 million people can be simplified to around 34 million people. When complex or long words are necessary, make them easier to read by separating the stem word from the prefix by inserting a hyphen. Hyphenation helps break down the word into familiar parts, making it clearer and easier for the listener to follow. Here are the examples. Next, avoid using the same or similar phrases several times on the same page. There is a danger that the reader or voice talent could accidentally skip over some lines of the script. Repeating similar phrases can cause confusion or make the text sound monotonous. Instead of writing, we must act quickly to address climate change, we must act quickly to prevent deforestation, we must act quickly to conserve water, you can write this instead. Climate change requires urgent action. Deforestation needs immediate intervention. Water conservation is a priority. Next is be conscious of sound clashes. Avoid alliterations. Do not repeat the initial sound of nearby words or syllables. This approach improves clarity and helps avoid a sing-song effect in writing or speech. First, let us define what is alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of usually initial consonant sounds in two or more neighboring words or syllables, such as wild and woolly, threatening throngs. Instead of, we will witness widespread wind warnings, you can write, expect extensive wind alerts. Avoid sibilants and popping sounds. Words with S, Z, CH, J, and ZH are called sibilants. Sibilants produce whistling or hissing sounds. A series of sibilant words can be difficult to read and distracting to hear. This helps create smoother, clearer text for reading aloud and reduces the chance of unpleasant audio effects. Examples for sibilants: instead of Susan's sister sips soda silently, you can write Susan's sibling enjoys a quiet drink. For the popping sounds, on the other hand, It is words with B's and P's. The microphone easily picks up these sounds if the announcer is not careful in pronouncing them. Example for popping sounds: instead of Peter pick a peck of pickled peppers, you can write Peter chose some marinated peppers. Next, punctuate for sounds. Use it to indicate your intentions regarding mood and meanings. Punctuation has a way of adding emphasis and cadence to our written sentences. We will be discussing the 14 punctuation marks. We divided it into 5 categories. First, sentence endings like period, question mark, and exclamation points. Second, comma, colon, and semicolon. Third category, dash and hyphen. Fourth, brackets, braces, and parentheses. And lastly, apostrophe, quotation marks, and ellipses. For the first category, we have sentence endings. First is the period, which is the most straightforward. It is also referred to as full stop because the period denotes the end of a sentence. So here is an example of a period at the end of a sentence. So periods are also used in abbreviations, such as in names or titles. So here are examples of how to use a period in abbreviations. For the next sentence ending, we have a question mark. It ends a sentence that is a direct question, and it typically sentences that are questions that begin with what, how, when, where, why, or who. So here's how to use a question mark in a sentence. Generally, a question mark also denotes a shift in tone in a sentence if it is being read out aloud, so this is something to take note of. Lastly, for the sentence endings, we have exclamation point. It is used at the end of a sentence when that sentence expresses an intense emotion. So the expression can be a variety of things. It can be from excitement, it can be from disgust, anger, joy, or anything else. Exclamation points are meant to add emphasis to a sentence. So here's how to use one in a sentence. For the second category, we have comma, colon, and semicolon. Let's first discuss what is comma. Commas are used to insert a pause into a sentence. The purpose of the pause can be for different reasons, such as to separate ideas, phrases, or even alter the structure of a sentence. Commas have a few different uses. Commas are used for a direct address, such as Joe, comma, it was nice to see you again. They are also used to separate two complete sentences. For example, he went to the library, comma, and then he went out for lunch. Commas can also be used to list items in a sentence. For example, she went shopping and bought shoes, comma, a dress, comma, 2 shirts, comma, and a pair of pants. Commas are one of the most misused punctuation points, and its misuse often results in a comma splice. So let us define what is a comma splice. A comma splice is when you join two independent clauses with a comma instead of a conjunction. For example, it's almost time for dinner, comma, I'm not hungry. Instead of using a comma, the sentence should read, it's almost time for dinner and I'm not hungry. Oxford commas are often debated within academics and the English language, and using one often comes down to preference. An Oxford comma is when a final comma is placed on the last item of a list. Moving forward, semicolon links two independent clauses. However, in this case, the clauses are more closely related than when you would use a colon. Both clauses are independent enough to be their own sentences. But instead of using a period, it's possible to use a semicolon to show both clauses are connected. Another less common use for semicolons is within a list that uses commas. So there are two types of dashes that vary in size and use. First is the end dash. It's typically shorter in length, and the end dash is used to denote a range, such as between numbers or dates. So the second dash is em dash. So this dash is longer and is sometimes used instead of other punctuation marks, like commas, colons, or parentheses. For the next one is hyphen. So let's not be confused with a dash. So a hyphen is used in compound words when two or more words are connected. So here are some examples of hyphenated words. We have step by step, mother-in-law, and ex-boyfriend. For the fourth category, we have brackets, braces, and parentheses. So let's first define what is brackets. So brackets are used to clarify something or for technical terms or explanations. It can also be used to clarify a subject when quoting another person or text. So shown here in the screen are the examples. Next is braces. So it's unlikely you'll need to use braces very often unless you're writing a mathematical or technical text. However, it's still good to know so you don't accidentally use them instead of brackets or parentheses. So braces are usually used in operations, just like the example shown here in the screen. Lastly, parentheses. They are used to supply further details or information or as an aside. Parentheses can often be replaced with commas, and the sentence would retain its same meaning. Here's an example. So for the last category, we have apostrophe, quotation marks, and ellipsis. Apostrophes are meant to show that a letter or letters have been omitted, and also to indicate the possessive or contractions. It can also be used to pluralize lowercase letters. Here are some examples. For the next one, we have quotation marks. Quotation marks are used to denote text, speech, or words spoken by someone else. It is also used to indicate a dialogue. So single quotation marks, as shown here in our slide, is not to be confused with apostrophes. They are often used for a quote within a quote. Lastly, we are going to discuss about ellipsis. An ellipsis is three periods used together to represent an omission of words or letters. They are often used to jump from one sentence or phrase to another, while omitting unnecessary or obvious words. It's also used when quoting someone and unnecessary words are left out. So here are some examples. For the next suggestion is to provide a pronunciation guide. So let's listen.
Versailles, quinoa, Worcestershire, Sersha, Qatar, Hermes, Chipotle.
For our discussion points, I'd love to hear your thoughts about what are the benefits of using simple and rounded numbers instead of precise figures in writing for radio. Second, why do you think punctuation is important in radio scripts and how does it affect the delivery of a message? So that is it for my discussion, and here are my references. I hope you understand my discussion for the Module 12 Writing for Radio, which focused on the Principle 1, Write for the Ear as well as for the Eye. Once again, I'm Carla Anastasio. Have a great day ahead.